Hello gamers, and welcome back to another episode of Solo Spelunking. And this is a special episode that I have been looking forward for a while because I finally released my solo RPG Framework and Toolbox for fantasy games. So by the time you watch this video, you will also be able to purchase this and pick it up on Drive-Thru RPG. And of course, I will put the link in the description. And this will be a showcase video where I basically flip through the product and tell you a little bit about it, what it is and how you might use it so that you get an impression. And this has been a passion project, as the same as my solo RPG Framework and Toolbox for space opera games. And if you compare these covers, you can see the similarity. I think of these two books as basically companions. So this is the companion volume to this supplement. And it, of course, also shares a lot of the same design principles, but custom tailored to fantasy. So what do we have here? We have a set of procedures and generators to ease the burden of playing your favorite fantasy role-playing game solo. So this product is system agnostic, and you can see the table of content here. So it clocks in at around 71 pages because the cover page doesn't have a number. 71 pages of solo RPG fantasy role-playing goodness. And what you can do, you can navigate the PDF by clicking on the entry in the table of content. And when you click on the page number, you will navigate back to this table of content so that you can easily sweep through this document while playing, if you're having it open like on your phone or a small tablet while you're playing. And it features procedures for town and city gameplay, and a town and city gameplay procedure that features you choosing an action from a list of city actions and then checking for an encounter, resolving the encounter if there's one, and resolving the next action, etc. And we will go through this in detail. Then also for town gameplay, we have a rumor generator, a tavern encounter generator, and a town encounter generator. Then I talk a little bit about my random encounter philosophy, because these generators, they might produce, as with all things random, some odd results. So here I give you a couple of insights on how you could incorporate these encounters or what you can take from them for your game world. Then we have the notice board, which is basically like a quest board, and it also features a couple of different tables that you use to generate unique and different notice board notices or quests. Then, and this is something I find really fun, I'll give you streamlined rules for running a small tournament. And you can use these rules not only for a tournament in a classic sense, like sword fighting, archery, but also for gambling. Basically, for every contest that involves some form of skill or capabilities of your PC, and where you want not a task resolution with one roll, but like a more exciting method of determining an outcome, also with a bigger chance of a reward, of course. Then we have an NPC generator. You can't have a toolbox without an NPC generator. I'll give you a procedure for quickly generating an Overland hex map. Then I will go into wilderness gameplay. It'll feature a wilderness encounter generator with the appropriate variables. And a wilderness gameplay reference sheet for the wilderness gameplay procedure. So this is one sheet that you could print out and leave it next to the table, and I will show it to you in this video. Then I'll talk about the dungeon gameplay, and finally I'll give you a very rudimentary Oracle and a random idea generator as classic Game Master emulation tools, and in the appendix I link to some useful products. So just so that you can see what I mean, let's just, if I want to look at generating an Overland hex map, I just press here and it brings me right to the page, and then when I click on the page number, I'm back in the table of content. So here in this introduction, I talk a little bit about why I even made this product, why you would want to use it. But the important thing that you should take away from this section is that this framework is meant to be a helping hand, a toolkit. It's meant to be supportive and not restrictive. So that means you can pick and choose what kind of rules you want to use in your game from this toolkit, or what you don't want to use. You can opt in and out of this toolkit at any time. You can come back later if you see fit, and you can cherry pick, and you can combine this, of course, with other supplements that you deem necessary. So for example, there is a dungeon generator here, but that it is very streamlined and focuses on the core elements like traps, treasures, monsters, and exploring rooms, and not so much about those minutiae details like what material is the door made of, or is it stuck, and does the corridor turn right or left. So if you want maybe enhance this dungeon gameplay procedure with a generator of your choice to create the dungeon, but you still want to use like maybe the trap table in here, you can mix and match, because this is also system agnostic, which means it does not feature specific stats for a specific system, but instead I work with generic terms for difficulties and skill groups so that you can easily translate those to your system of choice. All right, so it starts with town city gameplay, and here I talk a little bit about why towns are important, and then first, before you can enjoy a town, you have to get in. So here's like the first structured gameplay procedure thing. Whenever you enter a town with your adventuring party and this town features some sort of guards, you roll a d6, and on a roll of 1 the city guard has some form of demand or complaint, and I give you some ideas of what this might be, and then you first need to resolve this issue either with a bribe or a social skill roll or whatever. Then once you're inside, we have the town gameplay procedure, and town gameplay works like this. Remember, this is supposed to be a helping hand to give your solo game some structure. So how this works is you have a couple of actions that you can take in a town or city that are outlined here with suggested skill checks. Of course, we also have like the generic city action for anything that is not listed here. We just need an action for the game loop. So this outlines possible city actions, and the game loop basically works like this. You choose an action from the list, you resolve it. Afterwards, you check for a random encounter. On a roll of 1 on a d6, a random encounter occurs. If a random encounter occurs, you generate it with a town encounter generator. You resolve it using the rules of your chosen system. Then you advance time of day by 2 hours. This is optional, but I suggest that you track time. This includes everything from walking through different locations and resolving possible encounters, etc. And this might be useful in a town or city to know when shops close, because they close at 8 o'clock. and then you go back to step 1. So it's always like choose an action, check for an encounter, resolve possible encounters, advance time by 2 hours, and choose the next action. And you can do this until you're ready to end your day. So that's basically the town game loop. And to support this game loop, there are different generators here included. A rumor generator for when you're in a tavern and you pick up a rumor. Then we have, and I'll go into detail in just a second, just want to show you the encounters, the generators. Then we have a tavern encounter generator, because if you're in a tavern, you check if you can overhear a rumor, but also if there's something going on in this tavern that might or might not affect you. And finally, we have the town encounter generator for when you are walking through the town or the undercity or certain districts. So this is the town encounter generator. And these generators, they have one thing in common, and this is like the design philosophy for this product. They're different. They're not random encounter tables where you roll on a table. They're generators, meaning I'll give you what I would call a prompt or an inspirational prompt with variables, and you fill these variables with entries from the fitting providing tables. So let's go, for example, to the tavern encounter generator, and the prompt is you're minding your own business, casually sipping at your drink and observing the patrons as a patron, that is the variable, is activity variable, to a, with a, or against a, depending on what the activity is, patron on a 1 to 3 on a d6, or the PCs on a 4 to 6 on a d6. And the patron description is out of character knowledge, of course, at first, to give you a hint on how to imagine the character or scene or how they might interact. And just to give you a few examples, you could, for example, generate a seasoned fighter is starting a brawl with an arrogant noble. So this is something that, of course, really makes sense. Of course, there's some odd results that you can get, but I don't leave you hanging. I'll give you a couple of interpretation examples on how to, in a more abstract way, make sense of generated encounters that might look odd at first. So I'll give you interpretation examples here and also here when it comes to the rumor generator. And the rumor generator also has a prompt. It goes like, while you're enjoying your drink, you overhear a conversation at a neighboring table. A NPC is talking to a NPC. Have you heard? Near the location an actor has his activity. And for location, I chose rather generic fantasy terms because, like I said, system agnostic. So you could either apply those. For example, we have abandoned mine, we have edge of the forest, forgotten temple, dried out riverbed, hidden grotto, outlying farms, ruined watchtower, and either you can apply this to a location that is already in your world. Like, for example, if you roll as a location the ruined watchtower and your world features a ruined watchtower, you can just say, all right, this is this tower. Or the alternative is that this location basically comes to life the moment it is generated, and you just place it somewhere on your map where you think it fits, because it is generic enough that it is easily placed in your world. And here we have the activities, and here I'll give you some examples for interpreting these results. So that's basically the city gameplay part. We have 3 encounter generators for rumors, for tavern encounters, and for town, meaning city street encounters. And we have a list of city actions that you can take. that are outlined, and we have this basically city gameplay game loop. And this is to give you some structure to, like I said, liften or ease the creative burden on yourself when you're playing solo, to give you some form of guidance. Okay, so then, like I said, here is this part about my random encounter philosophy with a couple of examples, and then we come to the notice board section. And the notice board section works like this. You generate a total of 1d3 plus 2 notices that can be found on a notice board, and every day at noon new notices are posted. Some old ones are removed. So basically you could generate 1d3 plus 2 new quest notices every day at noon. If you want to take a quest, you just take the notice, talk to the patrons. So this is like in game. Then you have the quest, and for every notice you determine the type with 1d6. So we have 6 different types. We have the classic monster hunt, we have item retrieval, a gather quest, a tournament announcement, caravan guard duty, and escort duty. And for every type, again, I'll give you an in-game notice, and I'll give you or read one to you in a moment here, and variables that are then filled in. So just to stick with a very basic type, the monster hunt. So first I explain a little. This is usually a commission from the city watch or ruler to hunt down and kill a monster or group of monsters roaming the surrounding lands and killing farmers, threatening travelers, or destroying crops. The notice posted would read something like this. And then we get to the notice. It says, "Hail, adventurers! Let it be known that the surrounding lands are currently plagued by a vicious," and then we have the variable, "monster, that is, who are threatening travelers and killing farmers. Therefore, the captain of the city watch, by authority of our esteemed ruler," and you can fill in the details from your game world here, "is posting a bounty of," and then it says, "insert a fitting value here adequate for the monster's danger level and your chosen system's economy." Because some systems, they have a gold standard, some have a silver standard, so you got to make some judgment calls here. "To the able individual or party of individuals that delivers the head or heads of the vile creatures to the watch captain, they was where last reported near location." And there we have the generic locations again. So and the monster table, it features, like, for example, a young red dragon, a cyclops, a troll, a muscular werewolf, a band of hobgoblins. And for locations, we have like the outlying farms. So let's just keep it simple. Let's say you roll 2, which is a group of bandits. So the notice would be the surrounding lands are currently plagued by a vicious band of bandits that were last reported near, and let's just say, the outlying farms. So this is to get you started, to give you something to go on. And so with these variable tables, you have a lot of options. And of course, role-playing opportunities by talking to the patrons and getting more information about the quest, maybe negotiating the pay, things like that. So let's take another look at another example, the item retrieval, also a fantasy classic. The explanation is: a usually wealthy patron or someone of standing, like a mage, priest, cleric, or renowned healer or alchemist, is looking for someone to retrieve an important item from a dangerous location, usually a dungeon, but it could also be a bandit camp, monster lair, or similar location. The notice posted would read something like this: "Hail, adventurers! I," insert name here, "renown, profession," so that's the variable, or one of the variables, "need a capable individual or party to retrieve an item from a," variable, "structure, variable, distance away. to the party that delivers the item to me, I will pay the sum of, insert a fitting value here, and then here the explanation is roll the item on the item table variable, but the exact nature of the item will not be posted, but revealed in the personal discussion with the patron to keep it somewhat secret. And to give you some examples what that might be, structures and distance, also abstract. Structures, again, are rather generic. We have ruined temple, abandoned monastery, haunted mansion, an unholy crypt, cursed mines, dark abbey, whatever. And distance is abstract, like 2 days travel, 5 days travel, a week, 10 days travel, 2 weeks travel, or 20 days travel away. So this is to give you some options to make it easier to fit it into your game world. And like I said, this is all optional. You could just use like the notice board generator and generate the structure, but then you can look at your map if you use a map and say, all right, this is this structure right here. Then you don't really need to roll for a distance. This is just if you want to like generate this new structure, then you can just place it someplace on the map. Okay, and for items, for example, we have 10 possibilities. Just give you one example here, or two. Number 2 would be a unique weapon of a famous individual, not necessarily magic, and the example would be Keldor, the sword of Sir Breverick the Brave, for example. Or we have a unique piece of jewelry, for example, the meteor ring crafted from the shards of a fallen comet. And so these are possible things. Yeah, so that is basically the notice board section. And then we have a section on running a small tournament, because the notice board could announce a tournament, or maybe you want your PC to take part in a tournament or something. And this is an abstract system which is quick but still fun, and provides some excitement. So I don't want to go into too much detail here. You got to see for yourself, but I think this is pretty neat. I tried it out a couple of times in my private off-camera games, and I'll also give you some pointers on how to apply these rules to different popular game systems. For example, D20 5th edition adjacent roll high, or D20 roll under, for example, like in Dragonbane or Black Hex style games, or for dice pool games. And then I'll give you an extended example of a tournament, how it could be played out, or how it could play out. So these are the tournament rules. Then this is really nothing special, a standard NPC generator where you determine gender and power level of your NPC if necessary, and then you have like 6 different tables for race, profession, personality, quirks, clothing, and body to generate an NPC that is more detailed than those 1 or 2 word NPC descriptions that are also featured in the generators and variable tables, which are also perfectly fine if that is enough for you. All right, then I'll give you suggestions for generating an Overland hex map if you are so inclined. So here I tell you how to create your own little hex map sandbox to play in. But like I said, you can play without a map. You can play with a map you already have. This is just if you want to create maybe a new setting, or just want to do like a generic hex crawl where you maybe explore an unknown or unexplored area. So this is an option, but I've used this method a couple of times generating maps for my board game-like games like Defenders of the Shadowlands or also Explorers of the Untamed Wilds. So this, for those of you who have purchased these games, this looks or sounds familiar because it's basically the same principle. A little expanded, so but if you have one of these games, you know what awaits. One thing I want to get into, if you like use this and you generate your map, you could also apply this to a map you already have. I like to determine for every terrain section or area what I call a danger level, which is an indication, it's like an OOC, metagaming information, of how difficult this area is. And because, and I mentioned this here in my designer notes, I think it breaks immersion, and this is like a common thing that I'm also guilty of in especially in level-based games, that for some reason you seem to always almost face level appropriate encounters, and the world basically levels with the characters so that the overall challenge basically remains the same. So I'm using a different approach. I am clearly designating certain areas as dangerous, and you have the option to travel there or not. So if you decide as a level 2 party, just using levels here as an example, to travel into a level 8 forest, you will face level 8 difficulty monsters. And if you're level 2, you will probably not survive, but it is your option to go there. You can avoid these areas if you want until you are geared up enough or powerful enough to venture there. So the world is what it is, and you can decide where you want to go. And so I outline this here in my designer's notes. And I also say here, with this danger level system, the player has a choice to venture into dangerous areas and face the consequences, but also gain the rewards, or wait until the characters are of the appropriate power level. And here I say that in-game, the danger level in the game world is communicated to the characters by rumors, tales from travelers, ghost stories, etc., or signs that are encountered once you get closer to or enter a dangerous area. For example, large creature tracks, chewed up corpses, etc. So this is also like a principle you should use as a GM in group games, to clearly communicate a danger in advance so that the players might have a choice or chance to turn around, but if they don't, they will face the consequences. And then fitting, we have the section about wilderness gameplay, and you can use these rules outlined here, whether you use a map with hexes or just a map or no map, because there are like two options here, the hex crawl option and the more abstracted no map or no hex map option. And so basically you determine the weather at the start of the adventuring day, then you travel or not, so you can of course stay in place, and once the day ends, you make camp, try to find a campsite. You can then assign campsite actions, one action to a PC, and then you check for an encounter, and this is all outlined. So here I go into the camp actions, provisions going to sleep, and of course the wilderness encounter generator, which also works like this. We have a section for movement, if you travel or if you're stationary. And if you're stationary, the sites are missing because sites just don't pop up out of thin air. So if you're traveling through the countryside, whether using a normal map or a hex map, you have the chance, option, possibility, whatever, to also encounter mysterious sites that you come across. If you're stationary and there was no site, of course there won't be a site popping up. So this is why there are two different component tables depending on whether you move or not. And you see here these components are variables. So first you determine what component your encounter includes, and then you just fill these with the variable. So let's just say you move around and you roll number 3 on a d8. That means your encounter consists of a site, NPC, and condition. And here we have the variables. So site, NPC, condition. All right, so let's say the site is a 6, demonic ritual site, and the NPC is 8, a bard, and his condition is crazed. So the encounter would be you come up come up on this weathered maybe stone altar surrounded by standing stones or stone statues that have like an eerie feel to them, and in front of this stone altar there's a male or female. I always use a die roll to determine this. Let's say like a female bard. Of course you don't know exactly that it's a bard, but maybe from the clothing description. So musical instrument. But as you look into her eyes or try to talk to her, try to greet her, you see that her eyes basically seem to stare right through you, and she is talking to you in a strange voice that you haven't heard. So because she's crazed, so maybe she, as a bard, discovered this site also, tried to I don't know, explore it, get some more information out of it, or maybe decipher some strange runes, with then in turn turned her crazy. So you see, so you have the option here to, or you get pointers to build an encounter, and the pointers are specific, but they still leave room for interpretation, and you can ask clarifying things using the oracle. So this is basically how these encounter generators work. And you could also just encounter a monster plus NPC. So let's say, and we have the monsters grouped here by terrain. Let's say you're in the hills, and the monster would be gnolls, and the NPC, let's say, also this female bard. So as you make your way through the hills, you hear the sound of combat, and as you come closer, you see a female bard, or maybe even two. This is, like I said, it's open for you to decide, fending off a small scouting party of gnolls. So then it is up to you to decide, do I hide, or do I assist? Do I see who wins and then step in or not? So you can build different kinds of encounters with these components and variables. And in my opinion, at least, I think this is more flexible than just working with encounter tables. Yeah, so that's that. And this is like the wilderness gameplay reference sheet. This is page 57 that you can just print out, where you have the entire wilderness gameplay procedure that is explained before on one little sheet. And this is all A5. This is an A5 document, just like this one is. All right, then we come to the dungeon gameplay. And like I said, this is pretty simple. It is so simple that you can do it while playing on the fly, generating a random dungeon. And so here I go through the process, give you a sample dungeon layout, and this image is courtesy of Grognard Solo Gaming, and I link his YouTube channel here in this product. So thank you again, Grognard, for providing me with this picture here, and you should really check out his channel. He's doing an actual play of Curse of Strahd at the moment, but as a like recap storytelling, really great with great effects, and it's just like an audiobook. So check out his channel as well. And yeah, so this is the dungeon procedure here with the appropriate tables. And then finally we come to the end of the document, where I'll give you a simple percentile based oracle, and also a simple idea generator. And I talk a little bit about how to use these. Yeah, and then we are at the end of the product. Here's the appendix. So I link to a hex paper template, and of course to a couple of my products here. Yeah, and this is basically it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to showcasing this product in action in the upcoming fantasy games on my channel, and I hope you are interested in this. I had a lot of fun working on it, creating it, and yeah, I would be very happy if you would also get some enjoyment out of it. And yeah, you can pick it up for $2.99, which I think is very reasonable, and I hope you will have a lot of fun with it. So I thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe and stay healthy. Oh, and if you like what you see and are interested in my channel, please also, of course, subscribe and comment and do all that YouTube stuff. So, but now, stay safe, stay healthy. I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.